Hello and welcome back to Fourth Down Focus. It's been a while, but we're finally back. And today we have something a bit different. Obviously, can't do what we normally do, so we're going to do a mock draft for the first time. Might be our first and only mock draft. We might do another one. We'll see how it goes. But I'm joined with Max and Kian as always. And you know what? We're just going to go straight into it, lads. So we'll start off with the Tennessee Titans at the first overall pick. I'm going to start with Max. Who do you think they should take?
I've got Cam Ward, quarterback, Miami. I feel like it's pretty much penciled in at this point. We could get a shock with Hunter or Carter, who we'll get onto, but I think it's pretty much nailed on as Cam Ward, if you ask me. I don't think they can go through another season of Will Levis. They haven't got Mason Rudolph to fall back on anymore because he got traded back to Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
I think.
so.
So I don't know what they're going to do about the quarterback situation if they don't get Cam Ward. So I think it's got to be him.
Kian?
Can I just start by saying this is not a New York Jets jersey? I know it looks like it when you can't see the badge. It is the Irish Wolfhounds, I think they're called. I got it in Dublin. Anyway, I digress. Same as Max, yeah, Cam Ward. The Titans are in dire need of a change, and I think that this is probably going to be the right call. I'm not sure this is a great quarterback class, but he's the best of the lot. So, yeah, Cam Ward.
Yeah, it pains me to say it. I don't want it to happen. I really hope I'm wrong, but I've also got the Titans taking Cam Ward. I'd love him to fall to us at 3, but we'll get on to whatever we're going to try and do at 3. But I think we've been trying to trade up for a while, but I think now with Rudolph going, and I think they've realised quickly that they can't have another season of Will Levis and all the free agents sort of disappearing from them. So, yeah, I think it's a pretty straightforward pick. Cam Ward out of Miami, he's been excellent, but as Keane said, it's not the best quarterback class, as I'm sure we'll discuss later on in the mock draft, but yeah, for me also, Cam Ward as the first overall pick. Next up, and I know I just started you on the first one, Max, but I'm going to have to go with you again here because it is the Cleveland Browns with the second overall pick. Who do you think you'll take or want you to take, etc.?
Before we started the video, we asked each other if this was who we think they're going to take or who we should think they should take. This is not who I think we should take, but I think there's a world where this happens. And we were just talking about the quarterbacks. I think Shedeur could go to us at 2 because, like the Titans, we've really struggled with quarterback play, and the only change we've made in the quarterback room is Kenny Pickett, which is bad. That he can't be the starter. Diddy cannot be the starter, and I think we've got rid of Jameis now. We've got no Thompson Robinson, who's a terrible excuse of a quarterback anyway.
His mum will see this.
She will. She liked my tweet before. So I think there's a world where he takes Shedeur, which is interesting for some other quarterback needing teams on the board. But I think I personally probably prefer Carter. But I think there's a world where he takes Shedeur. So I've got Shedeur.
I'll go next then. Yeah, I sort of see your point. I'm going to go with Abdul Carter out of Penn State for the Browns. I think it makes the most sense. It would have been probably a guarantee had you traded Myles Garrett. But obviously, you've just given him that horrific amount of money for a 29-year-old edge rusher. But that's not the point of this. But I think you take Abdul Carter. It makes sense to get another good edge rusher in, well, excellent edge rusher based off his college seasons. You can't really argue with him going in the top 5, I think. I see the world where you take Shedeur, but I think with Watson and Pickett on the board, potentially even looking at another one, I don't see you with them 2 contracts taking a rookie as well. I don't think it makes much sense. I think you'll wait till next year when it's a bit more of a deeper quarterback class because I said this year we've only really got 2, maybe 3 viable first-round options, and even that's pushing it massively, I think. So I think you'll take Abdul Carter. I think it makes sense. Just strengthen up the defense even more. If Garrett and Carter on each side of the defense is quite scary as an edge rushing duo.
I do need to preface my pick by also saying, I forgot to say this, I think Shedeur is the best QB right now in the draft. But in terms of ceiling, I think Cam Ward's levels above. But right now, I think Shedeur's better. I think he's definitely the most accurate of all the quarterbacks. But I don't know what his future looks like. I don't think he's going to go on to be amazing. I hope he does if he comes to us. But I don't think he will be. But right now, I think he's the best one.
Kian?
If I'm Shedeur Sanders, I'm staying very, very, very clear of Cleveland, or I'm becoming the next Johnny Manziel, because they've got very, very similar attitudes. But But I think it'd be Abdul Carter. Personally, I think he's the best player in the draft. The former Nittany Lion, and I would personally love him myself. But he's not going to fall to 6. So I think, take him. It's a scary, scary defense with Carter and Garrett. But if they do take Shadur, I don't know why they would. I genuinely think Kenny Pickett might be better. But no, I would go Abdul Carter personally.
Did you not see that? Did you not see that Kenny Pickett throw last season where he threw it and his head went?
Hold on, he's a Super Bowl winner.
He came in to take knees.
He's a Super Bowl winner.
He's won the Super Bowl, mate.
He contributed as much as Colin Kaepernick. They both took knees.
Was that the route we're going down this year?
Yep.
I think on that note, we'll move on. So, as I said, third pick, New York Giants. And as Max said, don't know whether it's who we think we should pick or want to pick. But for me, I'm taking Travis Hunter out of Colorado. I've been torn on this for a while with Hunter. I'm not entirely convinced he's the best cornerback or receiver in the class. But I think if he does do both, I'm not sure if he'll be allowed to or whether he will. But I think with our pick, it's sort of a can't miss pick because you either take someone like Sanders or Ward if they're there, or you take the best player available, which in this case I think is Travis Hunter. So I think, we can't really mess up too badly unless we take Shadur Sanders. I think it'd be a horrendous decision, but much to our fan base's disagreement, they would love to see Sanders for some reason. This is one guy on Twitter I cannot the prop I see for him on Shadur Sanders is absolutely mental. I've never seen anything like it in my entire life. But yeah, for me, I'm taking Travis Hunter out of Colorado and then to play whichever side he wants. I think him and Neighbors could be quite nice. Kian?
Well, I think the best place for Sanders to bust down his AP, whatever the fuck that means, is probably going to be in New York. And that's what I've got you taking here. I don't think you can have another year of shit quarterback play. As Big Cocklock moved on.
Doesn't matter, mate. We're signing Aaron Rodgers.
Right, okay.
We can't go based off hypotheticals here. We've got to go with what we've been given.
We're going based off real. Real.
If Aaron Rodgers signs after we stop recording, by the way, I'm scrapping the episode off.
He's going to sign someone else anyway, mate. Don't worry.
Another note is, why does Max's room keep flashing? It's like he's on fucking waltzers.
It's the telly.
I think personally that you'll take Sanders just because, your quarterback play is horrendous. And that's bad coming from me. But yeah, I think Sanders is probably your best call. Like I say, I don't think he's great. I don't think he's a great quarterback class at all. Probably better off taking BPA and then going quarterback next year. But, it's a league where things change very, very fast. You can't keep relying on next year, always next year, or, you'll never do anything. So, yeah, I think you're going to go Sanders and just see how that works out. Just hope his dad doesn't get involved or you are fucked.
You want bad quarterback play, so you're going to take a bad quarterback in the draft to fix it. Sounds about right, to be fair. Max?
I've just realised how long this video might be. We might have to, outside of the top 10, speed it up a little bit.
Yeah.
For 2 hours.
Yeah.
I've also got Travis Hunter, best player available. I think you could use help at corner or wide receiver, and I think he's better than most of the ones you have at both positions. It's easy.
To be fair, I think Hunter might change now. We've strengthened the secondary a bit with Javon Holland as well. And we signed Paulson Adebo from the Saints, so I'm not sure, but
he's probably not better than Paulson Adebo. He could be in the future, but right now
he's a receiver. He'd be our number 2 straight away.
Yeah,
Neighbors could be quite nice.
Although you did re-sign Darius Slayton to a fairly big contract.
Yeah, he's a 3 though. Like it's sort of him and one day. I don't know, but yeah. Anyway, we'll move on. Next up to a team that no affiliations with for a couple of picks. The New England Patriots, and this is an interesting one, I think, depending on where we've gone each other in the draft. But Kian, you can start us off on this one.
I've got affiliation in the fact that I fucking hate them. But I've gone with them taking Travis Hunter. I know obviously on both of your boards he's already gone. But I think, look, if he's still there at 4, then I think you've got to take him. Heisman winner, whether rightly or not, we'll debate in a different video. But yeah, I think Hunter's probably the best pick there because he's probably the best player available at that point.
Max?
Mine is similar to Kian's, but not Hunter. It's Abdul Carter. I mean, they've brought in Harold Landry, big whoop. He's not that good. And on the other side, I don't think Anthony Jennings might be their other edge rusher. They've brought in Milton Williams, I think, but I think he's more of a 3-4 kind of defensive end, so he's not going to come off the edge much. I think Abdul Carter instantly improves a not great defense. So yeah, it's simple, straightforward. You can't fuck that pick up.
Yeah, I focus more on the offensive line issues. I think Drake May got an absolute battering, and with a quarterback like that, you can't let him get absolutely tonked every single play. So I've got Armand Membu going here, a tackle. I just think it makes the most sense for them to take a tackle here, and I think Membu's slightly better than Will Campbell on my board, but again, you can't really miss with either of them two, I don't think. I think they'll both be excellent in the league for a very long time, but I think after the combine, I think Campbell measured in short on his was it wingspan, something like that was too short, or his hands.
He might move into guard because of his arm length.
Yeah, his arm length.
Bullshit. If you can play tackle, let him play tackle.
But yeah, I've got Membu. I think he's an absolutely unbelievable prospect at this level, and as Max said, you can't really mess up these first few picks. They surely will improve your team unless you take Shadir Sanders. So for me, yeah, I've got Membu going at 4 to the Patriots. And next up, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars with a 5th overall pick.
Duval.
We
had to get one. It's been a while. No, not that one.
Not that one. Go on, Max. You can start us off on this one.
I think this is my 4th mock draft I've done. Every single time, it's straightforward. Mason Graham from Michigan. I think it's absolutely nailed on. Every mock draft I see pretty much has him going to Jacksonville. It's either him or like Tero McMillan, maybe. Mason Graham is an incredible player, one of the best in the draft, probably top 5 player. And I think he'd be stupid to pass up on him. They've not really got anything on the defensive interior apart from Devon Hamilton, maybe. So I think it's simple. Take Mason Graham. He's an incredible player.
Kian?
Yeah, I've also got Mason Graham to make the most pointless franchise in the NFL slightly less pointless. I don't really see them doing anything next year, but if they intend on doing something, then it's a good pick to sort of start on the road to that.
Yeah, I'm probably for one of the very few times we're all going to have the same pick in the draft. But yeah, Mason Graham, as Max said, it's been nailed on in basically every mock draft any human has done ahead of this draft. If he's there, of course, obviously there might be a world where maybe the Patriots take him. But I think he will be there, and I think that's who they'll take. It makes the most sense. He's probably, I think, potentially could be the best prospect in the entire draft overall. He's an unbelievable player, and he's going to improve whatever franchise he lands to. But I think Jacksonville will be a bit stupid not to take him here. So yeah, give me Mason Graham at 5 to the Jags. And now for the last time in this draft, we have Kian's team with the Las Vegas Raiders at number 6.
We didn't make it out the top 6.
I have got us taking the record-breaking, history-making, should have been Heisman, Ashton Genty, to improve our offense. I know that we've just signed Mostert, but look, he's getting on. Our running back room was shocking last year. Our standout was Sincere McCormick. So I think, you can do a lot worse than having Raheem Mostert and Ashton Genty in your backfield. I think Genty's going to be a good player in the league for a long time. We do probably need to address the lack of options Geno Smith's got to throw the ball to, but I've seen a lot of rooms with us and George Pickens today, so that would address that. Just need a strong runner, so we'll take Ashton Genty from Boise State.
Yeah, I think I might have jinxed the may not pick the same again for a while because I've also got Ashton Genty out of Boise State. It's an interesting one with the Raiders. I feel like there's a few players you could take and it wouldn't really, either way it's going to improve you because like most teams in the top 10, you've got a lot of issues. It's not just one pick that's going to fix. But I think you are building a little nice team here because, you put Genty in a backfield with Mostert, you've got Brock Bowers, and then if you trade for George Pickens, for example, Jacoby Myers still, I think, a very solid receiver, reliable at this level. And then Geno Smith
quietly went over 1,000 yards last year, and no one even spoke about it. Geno
Smith, good quarterback, might be getting on a bit, but as you didn't really give up all too much for him, so not going to be any worse than who you had last season or whatever combination of the 3 or 4 you had throughout the season. But yeah, for me, I'm going Ashton Genty, and I think I'll completely jinx it because I've got a feeling Max is about to say the same thing.
I think I've had Genty at the Raiders for most of my mock drafts, apart from one where I had Shadir, but that was pre-Geno Smith. I think Geno's an incredible signing, personally, because it's probably a short-term contract. And right now,
2 years.
2 years is probably perfect. Based on last season's form, the way he was leading the league in passing yards was it for most of last season? I think he fell off near the end. I think he's probably a top 15 quarterback right now, which is enough to do the job. That offense runs through Brock Bowers, and you've got Jacoby Myers, like you said as well. The offensive line's not too bad. Could probably go a few places on defense, but I feel like you've got to draft the player, not the position here. And Ashton Genty's easily probably a top 3 player in the draft. He can probably change that offense. And I know we're probably going to do some sort of preseason prediction video later down the line. I'm going to make a prediction right now that the AFC West is potentially going to be the most interesting division next season, if the Raiders draft well.
So it won't be.
Yeah,
when they take you at 6 on a 4, and then they absolutely flop the entire franchise.
We've got a new GM in, so we can't be as bad as we have been at drafting.
I think you'll be good. I think you'll be like maybe 7-8 wins.
I'd take that right now.
Exactly.
Fair enough. We'll move on to the New York Jets for the 7th pick. And now I'm going to start because with this pick, you'll quickly realize one player who's not going to feature in my mock draft at all. So at 7, I've got the Jets taking Terrell McMillan, which, as you can probably work out, anyone watching as well, I haven't got Shedeur Sanders going in the first round based on my mock draft. Not saying I don't think he might go in the first round because...
Come to your team, mate.
So we could draft him, the Browns could draft him, even the Titans, I think they're quite high on him as well, but I just don't really see it, and I think if teams are smart, they'll stay away. But I also think there's a world where us, or as I said, maybe even the Browns, if they go Abdul Carter, trade back into the first round if he's still sitting there, talking like 20th or later, maybe, which he will be if he falls past the top 7. But I've gone Terrell McMillan at 7. I think he's a once-in-a-generation type of receiver with his build and his athleticism. I think it's absolutely insane, and whatever team he goes to, they're going to have one of the best weapons in the league for a very long time, I think. I've been really high on McMillan for a long time now, and I think he is, I think, top 5 prospects in this draft, genuinely. I really do think he's going to transform any team he goes to, albeit he's got Justin Fields throwing the ball, so, when you've got a running back, quarterback, he's not going to get much of it. But
hey, we'll have no Fields slander in here. That's my boy.
But, yeah, I've gone Terrell McMillan. I think one of the better prospects in the draft. I really like him, and I think he's going to transform that Jets offense if they get him the ball enough. Max.
This is my spot for tackle out of Missouri, Armand Membu. I also think he's slightly better than Will Campbell, even though they're kind of like 1A, 1B in tackles. You could take either, like James said, probably won't be a bad decision. I think that O-line just needs some help, and they still don't know they're going to have a quarterback, so whoever it is protects them. Please, God, protect them, because last season it was rough. I think it's a straightforward pick. I could see a world where they take Teroa. I've got him slightly more down the board, as we'll see very shortly. But I think they should take Membu personally.
Kian?
There is no point in me elaborating on anything that Max has just said because I've also got Membu going there. So I'll just say Membu's going there, and we'll move on.
Speeding up the process.
Yeah, speeding up the process. Next up, we have the Carolina Panthers with the 8th overall pick. Could be maybe one where there's a bit of difference here. So we'll start with you, Kian. Who do you think?
I've got the first linebacker going off the board, and I've got Jalen Walker going to the Carolina Panthers.
Any justification?
Like I said, I'm speeding up the process.
Okay. Max.
It's because he barely knows about the prospects.
Pretty much. Once you get out the top 6, I'm fucked.
Max, provide some insight here.
I think every mock draft I've had until this one, I've also had Jalen Walker for the Panthers. However, this is my Terrell McMillan spot because I think that wide receiver room is terrible. They've got Adam Thielen and not vibes. So I think if you want to help Bryce Young develop like he started to do last season, get him a big body jump ball receiver like Terrell McMillan, and it can only help him. It can't do Bryce Young any bad.
Yeah, I sort of see it, but I think this receiver class for me is, obviously he's gone on my board anyway, but I think if he was there, I think this receiver class is quite deep. But I think for me, I'm going to agree with Kian. I've got Jalen Walker. I think, it's sort of a linebacker or an edge rusher, however you want to look at him as a prospect. I think he'll probably do a bit of both. In all honesty,
I agree with what James is saying.
But yeah, as I said, I think he's probably the best sort of that edge rusher linebacker breed prospect in this class. I've seen a lot of people maybe have him fallen a bit further down. I even saw people have him fallen away to teams like the Lions. I don't think that'll happen. There's so many good edge rushers, and I think he's one of the better ones. I can't see him falling. And for me, I can't see him falling at the top 10. I think he's going to go 8th overall to the Carolina Panthers. Pretty simple. Georgia produces good players normally, as much as it pains me to say it. And he will be a very good defensive addition for the Panthers. Next up, we have the New Orleans Saints. And I think this one, well, I've jinxed it every time so far, but maybe some difference on this one. Kian, you can go again on this one.
Can we stop starting with me?
Oh, no, because I was to get out of the way.
I am going for another player out of the best team in college football, the Penn State Nittany Lions. And I'm going for tight end Tyler Warren. Can't say much about him, but what I can tell you is a good tight end out the draft can help transform your offense. Because we had very shit quarterbacks and Brock Bowers still shone. Not saying he's going to have a Brock Bowers effect at all, but he is the best tight end in the draft. So Tyler Warren is going to the New Orleans Saints with another shit quarterback. So enjoy your time there, Tyler.
Max?
I'm about to break the 4-4. Kian is using my last mock draft and he's made a few modifications because some of these are going to start getting similar. Some of them have definitely changed, but some of these are going to start getting
let me just stand
really
up for myself here. We're recording this on Wednesday. I wanted to record it on Friday so I could do a bit of research. These bastards wouldn't let me. So I'm using Max's old one. I've made a few emendations based on what I know because I didn't want to use fucking Daniel Jeremiah's because he's a useless prick. There you go. Have that.
Right.
Saying all that, Tyler Warren to the Saints is also my pick. I wonder why. A lot of them have had the Colts taking him, but I genuinely think he might be a top 5 player in the class. He looks unreal. People complain about tight ends going high. Look at Brock Bowers. They're not the same type of player, but I mean, I think he fits perfectly onto this offense. It's either him or I think if Terrell McMillan didn't go with my pick before, he'd have probably been the Saints pick. But I think Tyler Warren is a perfect addition for the offense to help out, like Ian said, a rough quarterback in Derek Carr.
I've gone a bit different with the Saints. I think, it's just another team with so many issues, but I've gone more the defensive route, and I've got Kenneth Grant out of Michigan going at 9 to the Saints. I really do like Tyler Warren as a prospect, but you'll see, I'll speak about him later because he will feature in my mock draft, spoiler, funnily enough.
That is interesting.
I've got Kenneth Grant. I really like him as a prospect, and he's fallen a bit on people's boards recently. He was quite high to begin with and then sort of fell a bit, and I'm going to try and bring him back up here because I think he's really, really good. And the Saints, I feel like, as I said earlier, this is a deep class for weapons, and there's so many good receivers in this class. But, I think he's one of the better defensive prospects for us, D-line prospects in the draft in general. And Michigan, him and Mason Graham proved to be unbelievable last year for the Michigan, and I think he's going to be really good for the Saints. Again, could see whether they take Warren, they could take a receiver, but for me, I've got Kenneth Grant going at number 9 to the New Orleans Saints.
Not only is it 2 defensive tackles in the top 10, but 2 Michigan defensive tackles in the top 10.
Says a lot about how good that defensive line was, really.
I like Kenneth Grant, to be honest, despite where he plays. But you've just made me realise that not only have you shot him up the board from where I normally have him, I've not got him in the first round on this mock draft, which is interesting.
Maybe add him in on this one.
I know, yeah.
Next up, we have the 10th overall, the Chicago Bears, another team. As I said earlier, most teams in the top sort of 40 need a lot of help, but it can only be one player. I mean, I'll start this one off. I've got Malachi Starks out of Georgia, the safety, going to Chicago. I think they desperately need a good safety. It's been sort of known for a while now. That secondary needs help. And I think Starks is, as far as a secondary player, I think he's probably the best one in the draft for me by quite a distance. He's so good for Georgia. We've seen it, throughout most of his college career, but especially this last year, he's been absolutely brilliant for Georgia. And I think it's the easy pick for the Bears to improve their secondary very, very quickly. Max?
I can see the Malachi Starks thing. I've gone with a different player out of Georgia. And I've also now realised that Malachi Starks has fell on my board. His 2024 tape was not as good as his 2023 tape, anywhere near. I've gone with Jalen Walker because I was looking at the depth charts for these players while I was going through it, and I think they could use help in linebacker and on the edge. They've got Montez Sweat. Outside of that, nothing off the edge that looks. They've signed Dayoda Yingbo. That doesn't move me at all. I think they could probably use Jalen Walker as a linebacker or an edge rusher and it'll help them either way.
Kian?
I can only assume you say this bloke's name, Shamar.
It is,
Shamar?
yeah.
Okay, I've got them taking Shamar Stewart, and as you can tell, I know fuck all about him. But what I can tell you is he's an edge rusher, and he's going to the Bears for me, and they are my second team. So I do hope he's good. But I do also
good.
like Texas A&M because, big up Johnny Manziel. So, yeah, that's all I'm going to say on that. Go Bears. Bear down, everyone. First one.
You were definitely banking on one of us saying them so you could get the inside.
Yeah, that's why when you said yours, I went, fuck.
You want me to just leave you to last every time so you can try and nab some insight?
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
Okay, all right, I'll leave you to last.
Well, I can go first on the Cowboys one because I've got something to say about them.
Okay. So next up, we have the San Francisco 49ers, and I've got a feeling me and Max might agree on this one. So I'll let you go first. But
Will Campbell.
It is, yeah.
Will Campbell, yeah. I think they desperately need O-line. They need a lot of help, actually. The 49ers, they've lost a lot of players. I'm only assuming it's so they can afford to pay Brock Purdy. But they've lost. They also could have gone defense. Shamar Stewart could have probably worked in that slot, or maybe like a Mike Green, James Pierce, maybe. But I think the O-line looks rough at the minute. And Will Campbell, like we said earlier, might play guard, might play tackle. They could use either. So I think it's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a very, very good prospect. I think had he not measured in short, he probably would be going 4 to the Patriots on mine, as I had Member going 4 there. But I think, yeah, just because of them little tiny things, but he performed really well at the combine. He was flying on the 40-yarder, to be fair, for someone of his size. But yeah, I think, again, it's a really can't miss pick here for the Niners, and there's quite a lot in this top sort of, whatever you want to say, 15 picks. There's quite a few teams that really can't miss. I think this is one of them for the Niners, but they need O-line help. Get Will Campbell, and you'll be fine. And Kian, I'm assuming you've got.
Yeah, I've got the exact same down here, and I agree. But the Niners are fucked next year anyway, so it doesn't matter who they take.
Fair enough. Next up, Buzz, you've just requested to go first for the Dallas Cowboys, Kian. You can go first for the Dallas Cowboys as they're here at 12.
I feel like they're going to be really pissed off that Ashton Genty's gone at 6 because this was the most nailed-on move for Genty until we got a quarterback. Now he's not there. I've got them taking a wide receiver. I've got them taking Ted McMillan, which is obviously already gone on your board, James. Like you say, going to be an unbelievable weapon. I don't like calling them that. But he will be in the league. And, obviously you're going to have Dak Prescott back this year as well with any luck. Do I think it'll win them anything? Do I fuck? They're not going to win anything with Dak Prescott in quarterback. And Uncle Jerry is just going to have to keep on rolling, keep spending dosh, Uncle, because you're not going to win fuck all. But yeah, Ted McMillan.
You just called Jerry Jones Unk.
Max?
This is my Shamar Stewart spot. Obviously, as we now know, I was toying with the idea of Tetero McMillan going there, but he's gone earlier in this draft, so I think they could use some help off the other edge. Obviously, with Micah Parsons one side, why not get something off the other side, get some pressure on the quarterback? There's a few spots that they could probably improve in, wide receiver being one of them, edge being another. So yeah, I think it's maybe best player available. It's sort of a mix of best player available and a position of need in a way. Like it works well together. They kind of fit. I think Shamar Stewart's an absolute freak athlete, like a ridiculous athlete. People complain about his sack numbers at A&M. I think he'll be better in the NFL, to be honest. He's just a ridiculous athlete. That's literally it.
Mine's a bit of a rogue one here. Now I've done a lot of stuff on this edge rushers because it's such a deep class of edge rushers. There's so many. I think it's going to go in the first round, and you'll see with the next few picks, you'll see a lot go from my sort of end. But I've done quite a lot of research to this guy, and I'm going to mess his name up. I really do apologize. But Donovan Ezai-Ruaku out of Boston College.
Ezai-Ruaku.
Is that how you say it? Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's who I've got at 12 to the Cowboys. Now, as I said, this is a very deep edge rusher class. I love so many of these prospects. I said I don't think you can miss taking an edge rusher in this first round at all, especially if you're going to be, here in my case, in my draft, the first one to take them. So they need so much out of the Cowboys, but I think a good edge rusher would be perfect for them at the minute. And I think Ezra-Raku he's just one that stuck out to me through tape and stuff. And I just think, for me, he is the best one available. I think maybe will he have the best career? I'm not sure, but I think as far as getting a player to be ready for the NFL now, I think he's the most NFL ready prospect out of them all. As I said, Shamar Stewart, I think he's a bit raw in terms of just knowledge and just ability's not there yet. I think he could end up being one of the better ones, if not the best in this class. I think if you want someone right now, I'm going with Ezeraku at 12 for the Cowboys. 13, the Miami Dolphins. Max, you can go first here.
You just made me realise that I've not got Ezeraku in the first round either, but I also do think we're not doing 2 rounds, but Browns have the first pick in the second round. I think we could take him. If my board falls anywhere near like it does, we could definitely take him if we take Shador in the first round. This is my Will Johnson spot. I think towards the start of the draft process through the season, he was maybe top 5. I think there's some injury concerns, stuff like that. So I think he probably falls a bit, but he's still a very, very good corner. And I think the Dolphins could definitely use one outside of Jalen Ramsey. What have they got? Kader Kohu, Storm Duck.
Great name.
What a name.
Best name in the NFL, but he's not a great player.
Oh no, he's not.
I think they could really benefit from a player like Will Johnson. So I've got him going to Miami.
I've been torn on corners between who's CP1 between Will Johnson and Jahdae Barron for a while now. I'm struggling to decide. But for me, I'm going to take the Dolphins to take Jahdae Barron at 13 over Will Johnson. I think, as I said, it's sort of as Max said with Membu and Campbell, A-B situations. You can't really, whichever way you go, I don't think it's going to be a bad pick at all. I think Johnson's fallen down people's boards considerably in the last couple of weeks. But I'm going to take Jahdae Barron out of Texas. I just think he's a slightly better prospect, and it is very slight. I would not be surprised one bit if they went Will Johnson here. But I think corner's the biggest need for that Dolphins team at the minute. A lot of people have been saying the same thing. You look at a lot of mock drafts, they're all sort of agreeing it's going to be one of Barron or Johnson. And for me, I'm going to take Barron at 13 to the Dolphins. Kian?
If you want any insight on this player, just scroll back to when James picked him. I've got him taking Malachi Starks out of Georgia.
So at 14, we have the Indianapolis Colts, and I feel like I'll get this one out of the way because it's probably obvious what I've done here, as I didn't have him going to the Saints. It's Tyler Warren. I think he has the potential to be as impactful, if not more impactful, than Brock Bowers. Genuinely, he's a freak prospect as a tight end. I've never seen one like this. Bowers and him in 2 consecutive drafts is a bit of a joke, really. But Tyler Warren for me, 100%. The Colts desperately need a tight end, and they have done for a while now. And he will, I think, throw him in. And then you've got Pittman, you've got Jonathan Taylor, and that offense is going to be a really nice offense. Just a shame that Anthony Richardson's the quarterback of it. Max?
Yeah, but Anthony Richardson might make some insane throws to Tyler Warren.
Yeah, if we're like a 70-yard dot to him and then miss a 2-yard check there.
We'll miss the checkdowns. I had Tyler Warren here a few mock drafts ago, but I think he's gone up so much in my estimations that he goes into the top 10. And then I was also toying with Colston Loveland on this one because, like you said, they do need a tight end. But there's some good tight ends in this class further down. They could get another one. So I've got Jihad Campbell here, who I think, if we're classing Jalen Walker as an edge rusher, Jihad Campbell is the best linebacker by far. He's a ridiculous athlete, sort of like a sideline to sideline kind of linebacker. And I think I looked at the Colts depth chart. They've not really got anything there that sticks out to me at linebacker. So I think he could walk straight in and start in that Colts defense.
Kian?
Much like James, I've got him taking a tight end, but not Warren because he's already gone on my board. So I've got Colston Loveland going there instead.
Makes sense. Next up, I will start this one because it's the only time I get to shout out my Tennessee Volunteers in the first round. James Pierce Jr. to the Atlanta Falcons at 15 for me. I cannot rave about this guy enough. I think if it wasn't for these character concerns, I'm not really sure. People might be reading into it a bit too much, but I think they'll make him fall a bit further. I'd have him probably to the Cowboys at 12, if not even higher, without them. But I just think he's an unbelievable prospect. He's got wicked speed. Was it a 4.47 in the combine as his 40-yard dash? Something silly like that. He's a ridiculous athlete, and I think he will. I think for me, it's probably definitely biased, but as I've watched him consistently for the last couple of years. I just think, for me, he is by far one of the most elite prospects in this draft, and I've got him, luckily, to the Falcons, getting an absolute steal at 15 for me. Max?
I've gone similar thinking, different player who also apparently has some character concerns. I don't know what they are. I don't read into this stuff. I just look at the player. I promise you that this is the only Marshall player we're going to see in this round. It's Mike Green out of Marshall, edge rusher. I think he's slightly better than James Pierce personally. He's probably my third favorite edge rusher in this draft. I think he's like Shamal Stewart, just a freak, an absolute freak of an athlete, and it's like scary to watch him play. And I think the Falcons desperately need an edge rusher like that. James Pierce would probably not be a bad pick. You're going to see him in my mock draft in a few picks. So yeah, Mike Green for me.
Ken?
Now who did I pick on my last mock draft, Ken?
You picked Mike Green here as well.
Some consistency.
So another Marshall is going again on mine. I can't say anything about the bloke apart from the fact he sounds like a Premier League referee. But yeah, Mike Green, welcome to Atlanta, pal.
Next up, to end the first half of the first round, we have the Arizona Cardinals. Max, who do you think will go at 16?
I think that this should definitely be a defensive player. This could have been a Kenneth Grant spot. For some reason, I've left him out, although there is a nose tackle I prefer to him, who we'll get on to in a few picks. I've gone with Jadair Barron. Like James said, him and Will Johnson are probably 1A, 1B behind Travis Hunter. And I think that cornerback room is stinky, to be honest. They've got nothing there that looks like interesting to me. So Jadair Barron will instantly probably be cornerback 1 in that team. He's an incredible athlete.
Yeah, you said it. 1A, 1B. I'm taking Will Johnson here at 16 as I have Barron at 13. Makes sense. You know, they're the two best by a mile, I think, cornerback prospects in the draft. And I think, I have got some later on. I thought it might be the only couple I've got in here. But yeah, Will Johnson, as I said, he probably has fallen a bit far. There's not really much reasoning behind it. I think it was just a few little concerns here and there that creeped up a bit closer to the draft day. And I think it'll be a steal, to be honest, for the Cardinals at 16. Because people had him going to the Jags at 5 at some point in this draft, even the Giants at 3. So, yeah, for me, I've got Will Johnson falling to the Cardinals at 16. Kian?
I've got 3 more corners, by the way.
I've got 1.
I've got 3 more.
Anyway, as my favourite famous woman in the world says, it's tackle time. It's not what she says. She says tiffy time. But for me, it's tackle time. And I'm going for Josh Simmons. Once again, could say fuck all about it. Max, do you want to take over
here? Plays for Ohio State. Very good offensive lineman. Probably could go higher in the draft, but I think he spent most of last season injured since like October. So, yeah.
But it's
I'm sure we'll get onto a bit more depth later on. But
we will.
We'll move on to Cincinnati Bengals at 17. And as much as we may not have the same player, I've got a feeling there'll be a theme with this one, and it will be defense, unless you think elsewhere, after they've just given T. Higgins 115 million, which is a bit insane to me. But Max, who have you got at 17?
This is my James Pierce Jr. spot. I think you could probably switch him and Mike Green around, maybe even a few other edge rushers in here. Michael Williams, maybe. But this is my James Pierce spot. I think it's simple. If they don't upgrade the defense after last season, they're fucked again. Because they can pay as much money to Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase as they want. Which, by the way, that confused me the other night. I was looking at my phone. It was like, let's re-sign Jamar Chase. 2 minutes later, re-sign T. Higgins. I was like, fucking hell, which money they got? But yeah,
not anymore.
Well, they don't have any now. I think they need to get James Pierce or the best defensive player available in probably any position.
I mean, yeah, I said they have a terrible defense, so they go and offer up their best defensive player for trade and sign 2 weapons back on their offense instead. So that makes perfect sense. But for me, this is where I have Jihad Campbell landing from Alabama as a linebacker. I said I think he'll be linebacker or edge rusher. They've got to take a defensive player. There will be, I don't see a world where they don't go defense of some kind, whoever it may be, because that defense is terrible, as we saw last season. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase literally won the Triple Crown and didn't even make the playoffs, which I don't know if that's ever happened before, but I'd be very shocked. But yeah, for me, Max sort of touched on it with Campbell. For me, one of the best linebackers, if not potentially the best, if you class in Walker as an edge rusher. So yeah, give me Jihad Campbell at 17 to hopefully give Joe Burrow a bit less of a painful season next season, or hopefully, depending on your opinions on the Bengals. Kian?
I honestly don't see the point in spending all this money on offense. What are they actually intend? Yeah, they'll beat teams like the Raiders, but when they come against a good team, defense wins championships. We all know this, and it's gonna bite them on the arse again. They're gonna not even come close to winning it. They're probably won't win the playoffs. I've got them taking someone who's not been mentioned yet, so I can't say anything about him. But I've got them taking Michael Williams from Georgia. The edge rusher. They need one. So that's all I'll tell you.
I'm sure we'll get some insight on him further later in the down in the draft as well. But yeah, fair enough. We will move on to the Seahawks. Actually, before we do that, as you just said, it is mental that they are going after just seeing Jalen Hurts win a Super Bowl thanks to his defense. They think that offense is the key play. Also, T. Higgins has had a 1,000-yard season once in his career, and they've paid 150 million pounds.
It's
but anyway,
crazy.
We'll move on. Next
Cincinnati is in Kentucky. That's all I'll say.
Seattle Seahawks at 18. Max, who have you got?
Kelvin Banks Jr. from Texas. I think he's going to play guard in the NFL. He was a tackle at Texas. I think he's going to play guard, and I think they need one. I think they should just keep working on this offensive line because it's not been good for a while. They could go a few other ways, especially after losing DK, but I think this might be more important to protect Sam Darnold after we saw him get absolutely demolished by the Rams in the playoffs.
I've got Mike Green here out of Marshall as my pick. I think it's a weird, as I said, they have a few needs, but I think you go edge rusher here. If you're Seattle, again, I wouldn't be surprised you said a tackle goes there as well. It makes sense. But for me, I've got Mike Green out of Marshall. You said it enough. Very, very good edge rusher prospect, but will fall due to these character concerns or whatever you want to call them. But if he's going to fall, I think he'll stop sliding down when he hits Seattle. But as I said, this is already, I think, the third or fourth edge rusher I've spoken about in the last 5 minutes, and it will continue for the part of this mock draft. Very, very good edge rusher class. Kian?
As Max mentioned, could go wide receiver with DK going. I think they will. Matthew Golden from Texas is who I have got them taking, or who Max had them taking, but I now have them taken. They need to replace DK Metcalf. You know, there's no two ways about it. Sam Darnold is only as good as his supporting cast, as we saw in Minnesota. So he's going to need some help in the receiving core, and I think that will help out massively. So.
Sorry, that just made me remember that they paid Sam Darnold $100 million. I'm just glad we didn't do it. I just completely forgot that even happened.
We've missed so much news on this channel. We didn't even do like a free agency recap video.
No,
actually, there was so much to fucking go through. We'd have been here for about 3 hours.
There is still stuff to
happen as well. I think if we're going to do it, we need to wait and just
wait until George Pickens is a Raider.
And so we'll wait till the end of free agency before we release that one. But you will see that at some point, hopefully. Next up, we have Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 19, and he's been mentioned already by both of you. This is where I have Shamar Stewart landing. Again, he's a freak athlete, as Max said. He's an absolute joke. I mean, if anyone saw his combine, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. But I can't remember what the vertical jump was, but it was something absolutely ridiculous for an edge rusher, and he was rapid as well. But yeah, freak athlete, very good player. But as I said, I think technically he's not as good as the ones I've got above him as far as just in his position, but I think his athleticism will carry him through to be a very, very good player in the NFL. Max, who have you got at 19?
This is someone that I was about to say I don't think either of you will have, but Kian will, because I'm pretty sure I put him in my last mock draft. I don't think you'll have him, James, unless he's your other cornerback. He's someone I'm really high on. Maxwell Hairston out of Kentucky for the Bucs. I think they could definitely improve the cornerback room outside of is it Jamel Dean? I think they've got now. They could definitely improve, and I'm quite high on Maxwell Hairston from Kentucky. I think he's a really good cornerback, and he's shot up a few like prospect lists recently. Probably not this high. I normally see him towards like the back end in the 20s, but I could see him going here. I have had Jihad Campbell in this pick a few times, but I'm also so high on him that he's boosted up. So sort of filling in the gap.
As I said with someone else, just rewind if you want any insight. Jihad Campbell is going to the Buccaneers.
Yeah, you see what I mean?
Yeah. Next up, the Denver Broncos, and Kian just mentioned him. But for me, I'm taking Matthew Golden here out of Texas as a receiver option for the best quarterback. No,
not again.
Not another season of this.
She need to order the Auburn jersey. But no, I've got Matthew Golden here as a very, very good receiver option for Bo Nix next season. I mean, their defense doesn't need any help. We've seen that. They've even made it better in the off season. I think it's going to be an unbelievable unit next season to start. But the offense needs help. Their weapons aren't great. I mean, I can't even remember who you've got outside of Cortland Sutton. It's basically a pit of nothingness, really. So give him a very, very good, and as we saw, I think he was he the quickest receiver, or as far as like the top prospects, he was the quickest receiver in the combine. So give him absolute speed, so just to run the deep ball. I think he'd be perfect for the Broncos. And he's not like his other Texas teammate who said he was going to run a 4.2 to then run a 4.46. I'm not naming names. He's not featuring in my first round mock draft because he's a prick. But Max.
I think they could have gone, based on my mock draft, they could have gone with Golden or Burden, depending on who you see as the second best receiver. They could have gone with Colston Loveland, who's still on the board for me. However, I think they're going to take the second running back of my draft, Amarion Hampton from North Carolina. I think they've lost Javonte Williams now, and I don't think that experiment worked. He was another running back out of North Carolina, so they might get a bit scared because he didn't do much. However, I think Amarion Hampton is an incredible player, potentially top 10 in the draft, if not top 15. Genty's getting all the hype. Hampton is not much far below him, I don't think. He's an incredible running back, and I think he could, in the same way that Genty could lift that offense, Hampton could probably do it for the Broncos.
Kian?
Firstly, fuck the Broncos. Secondly, I'm sort of agreeing with James, but I'm going for a different player because obviously Golden's already gone on this board. I'm going for Luther Burden, not the first, not the second, the third. And like you say, he needs serious help in that receiver room. Outside of Cortland Sutton is literally nothing. I'd rather they didn't address it because I don't like losing to them. We had 8 years of not losing to them, and then they beat us twice last year. And I think it might continue if they get another decent receiver, which obviously we've got them getting on this board. So yeah, Luther Burden, the third out of Missouri.
Next up, the Pittsburgh Steelers, a team with a lot of needs and potentially a quarterback need. I don't know. I feel like Max pre-recording did mention a potential of 3 quarterbacks here, and I've got a feeling I might be hearing a certain name out of Ole Miss potentially here. So I'll start with you, Max.
You're damn right, James.
Lily Lang. Sorry.
Jackson Dart. I have had a receiver in this spot for a while until DK happened. And now I've got Jackson Dart because who the fuck's playing quarterback? It's not Mason Rudolph. It's not going to be Russ. Justin Fields again.
Aaron Rodgers, yeah.
That would make me feel sick, personally, as an Aaron Rodgers enjoyer. However, I think Jackson Dart, whether he starts or whether he sits behind a veteran that they bring in, I feel like if they don't take him now, they're at 21 now, I don't know if they'll be in a similar spot in the second round, I imagine. I've not really done a 2-round mock draft yet. I think if they don't take him here, they're going to miss out on him because of the other quarterback needy teams who are probably going to take him in the second round. Him, Milrow, people like that. So I think they should take him here. And also because it's quite funny because I don't think that's all that good. And it's the Steelers.
I think they'd be absolutely clinically insane to take Jackson Dart at 21 when no one's taken him below and you could just trade very much less and trade up into the second round.
I'm not paying to do trades on PFF mock draft simulator. So.
No, I think based off my basis of that probably happening, I still wouldn't have them taking Dart at 21 either way. I've got Josh Simmons out of Ohio State. I think Kian said he had him quite going a bit earlier, but I think tackle is probably their biggest need now. Receivers been taken care of with DK Metcalf. I do think they'll sign Aaron Rodgers, so I think they'll wait a year for a quarterback and try and get one next year. I said it's a very deep quarterback class next year, or even as I said later on, trade up into the second round, get Jackson Dart, get Jalen Milrow, whatever you want to do with that pick. I think Milrow could be quite a decent option for them. But I got Josh Simmons, a very, very solid tackle option at Ohio State, one of the better tackles in this draft. Just teams that have other needs. That's why I think he'll fall this far. But yeah, for me, Josh Simmons, quite an easy pick from Ohio State to the Steelers at 21. And Kian?
I've got a cornerback who I think has already been mentioned. I've got Will Johnson going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've got a lot of holes now. They've got issues in that team now. And I think just send him there because I don't know what to say about him. He's from Michigan.
They'll sign Aaron Rodgers for their yearly 10-6, whatever, and then lose in the first round of the playoffs.
Yep.
Moving on to a team that was probably quite shockingly impressive last season, especially with the nature of how good they were. The Los Angeles Chargers at 22. Max, you can start us off on this one.
I have to preface this by saying that this man will not fall further than 22. I think it's impossible. Colston Loveland. I mean, they could really use a tight end. I think he's coming back to play under Harbaugh like he did in Michigan. I think it's perfect. If Loveland doesn't go higher, which he definitely could, by the way, he could definitely go to the Colts, maybe even someone else. He's incredible tight end. I think he just falls because of positional need. Tight ends are not valued that high as opposed to quarterbacks and positions. You are a tight end lover.
I beg your pardon.
Take that as you will. I've got Colston Loveland reuniting with Jim Harbaugh. And yeah.
Well, you said you don't think he can fall further than 22, but I think he can. So for me, I've got Emeka Egbuka going here at 22 to the Chargers as a receiver option from Ohio State. For me, I've got him just above Luther Burden as a prospect. I think he's a very, very talented wide receiver. I don't think he's been talked about enough. I arguably think he could be behind Miller as wide receiver 2 in the class.
Say it louder. Say it louder, Jim. He's not in my first round mock draft, but say it louder.
I think Golden's combines projected him probably as going as wide receiver 2 now, just because of how his speed and athleticism was brilliant. But Egbuka, he just produces results. He did all season for Ohio State. I think it's exactly what you want as the Chargers. I said I wouldn't be surprised with Loveland. They need a tight end as well, but I think to get Egbuka next to McConkey could be a very, very seriously good wide receiver during next season for the Colts, especially with Justin Herbert at the helm as well. Kian?
They've already been mentioned, Ole Miss, but can we just say, any Ole Miss people, keep your dads away from your girlfriends, because we saw on Twitter how that goes. If any of you two didn't see it, then well done for skipping it. Anyway, I got on taking Walter Nolan.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. Even Pat McAfee referenced it.
The goat.
They're Ole Miss Daz, is what he said. But yeah, I've got Walter Nolan. I know nothing about this bloke.
Yeah, I mean, you'll get some insight later on, I think, of probably maybe both of us, but we'll soon find out. We'll move on to the Green Bay Packers, and I will start this one off. I will start this one off because I think it should be a pretty unanimous decision that they need a wide receiver fairly desperately. So I've gone Luther Burden here. Okay, maybe not. Okay, fair enough. But I got Luther Burden. I said it is a deep receiver class, so they might wait around and then take someone later on. But they just need to get someone desperately. You know, that wide receiver core is probably their biggest issue at the minute. They just haven't got that number one guy. To me, it's how I see it. Again, as in Max, you seem to have a different opinion, which is absolutely they have got issues elsewhere.
I'll let Vince McMahon over here.
no. But yeah, I got Luther Burden. I said he's just below Egbuka in mine. Them two again, it's sort of him and the Golden as well. Them three could be ABC. It doesn't really make a difference to me. They're all fairly similarly elite prospects, but I have Burden going here to the Packers, and I assume Max, you don't.
They signed McCall Hardman. What more do you want in the receiver room? They signed him today. I think they have a bigger problem than wide receiver, and I think it's cornerback, because outside of Jair Alexander, who might not even be there by the time the draft rolls around, I think they need cornerback. I think that this guy, without his injury concerns, which there are a few, he would potentially go higher. It's Savon Revel from the East Carolina Pirates, ECU represent. Another great cornerback prospect who's got injury concerns like Will Johnson. Will Johnson is better, but yeah, I think they could really use a cornerback in this position.
Ian?
I'm doing my first swap because
Max
had this guy going a bit higher up, and they're the same position. Ooh. So I got them taking Maxwell Hairston, the cornerback out of Kentucky.
I love Maxwell Hairston.
I think Hairston's a good prospect. I'm sort of maybe praying deep down he might fall to the Giants at 30, whatever it is, 35. But
I think he goes first round, personally.
He isn't in mine. I'll give that spoiler right now, but I wouldn't be surprised him and Ravel. Ravel has been in a lot of mine, but he's also not in this one for me either. As I said, I've only got one cornerback left as a little spoiler in my entire mock. But next up, you'll find out.
Who it is if it's not up to? Azariah Thomas?
Up, we have the Minnesota Vikings at 24. So we're getting to the sort of back end of the draft now. Max, you can start us off.
This is my Walter Nolan spot. I think I've just remembered who I picked on the last one, which is we're going to find out in a minute. He's already gone on this one. This is why I think Walter Nolan should go, because I think he is my nose tackle number 2. I mean, he's better than Kenneth Grant personally. He was highly touted as like the number 1 prospect in the country a couple of years ago, and I think he might also be another player who has either some character or attitude problems, but fuck that off for a laugh, who cares? Walter Nolan, absolute beast of a nose tackle, and I think they could definitely use one in Minnesota because Harrison Phillips is not going to be there forever, and you need a long-term replacement.
Yeah, I've also got Walter Nolan. Don't really think I can add too much to that. Just a fantastic prospect, and as you said, if it wasn't for some other issues, I don't think he'd even fall this far. But yeah, behind. So for me, it's third on my board. I got Kenneth Grant going a bit earlier than him, but either way, Nolan's a fantastic prospect, and as you just said, I'm sure we'll soon see that in a few weeks' time. But Kian,
on the topic of, I mean, it doesn't relate to my pick at all, but on the topic of external issues like attitude and character, Jalen Carter literally killed a man, fell down the board, and he's unbelievable.
This is the point. Yeah,
I feel like
this is why we can't have character issues fall into the fucking Eagles every year.
Yes, it's important, but if you've got a strong enough coach and some strong enough role models in your team, you can stamp it out of them as long as they don't move to Vegas. But that being said, I have got Amari Hampton running back out of North Carolina.
Don't forget about Cleveland, mate. Justin Tucker coming soon.
I don't really think Aaron Jones excelled how people thought he would in Minnesota. He was good, but he wasn't great. Like, don't do that face. He was shit in the playoffs.
Has he not re-signed?
Hey, who says he can't have a backup? Who says he can't have a 1-2 punch?
No, but I think your whole point was going to be on them not having a running back, and I'm pretty sure.
No, I didn't say they're not.
Yeah, but this wasn't my point when I drafted him there. This is whatever Kian's come up with in his head now.
I didn't say they don't have one. I'm just saying I don't think he's as good as everyone expected him to be.
He's also aging.
That's my best mate. Don't disrespect.
And he's aging. JJ McCarthy loved the handoff in college. And I think he's going to need the help. So, yeah, I'm Amari Hampton out of North Carolina.
Next up, we have the Houston Texans at 25. And for me, this is where I've got Kelvin Banks landing. For me, it might be a bit low. I've only got, I think, if I look back quickly, I think he's my 4th tackle off the board, which I don't think is unreasonable. I think maybe people might have Simmons below Kelvin Banks Jr., but I think, again, it's sort of a toss-up for me either way. But this is where I've got him landing to Texans at 25. I think it's another team with a few needs. Some people said receiver, but I don't think that's really an issue. And you've got, I don't know if Diggs is re-signing or not. It depends.
Tank Dell might be
Tank Dell being injured, which is, but I think if you've got, as long as you've got Nico Collins, it's not your biggest issue. So for me, and you got Dalton Schultz as a very reliable tight end option as well. So I don't think they're too desperate for a receiver. I think they might take one further down the board. Someone like Xavier Restrepo, I really like as a prospect. Could see him going in the 2nd round from Miami, but
I like Jack Bash down the board.
Yeah, even Eric Yamana, however you say it, from Stanford.
Is it like Illumia? No, I know what you mean.
But he's very good as well. Yeah, but yeah, I got Calvin Banks Jr. at 25. To the Houston Texans. Max, who have you got here?
We've gone similar thinking. However, my thinking's different in the way that I've drafted Kelvin Banks higher in the thought process that I think he's going to be a guard in the NFL, and I think that although the Texans could definitely take a guard, I think the Seahawks needed a guard, and I think Kelvin Banks will be a better guard. I think Josh Simmons is a better tackle than Kelvin Banks. However, I've got him falling here at 25 to Houston because they desperately need to upgrade that O-line. I don't care about receiver. I don't care about anything else. They desperately need to protect CJ Stroud because his sophomore slump made me sad. It made me very, very sad as an Ohio State fan. This is also my only Ohio State player in the 1st round, by the way, which is disgusting. But I think it's realistic. I think it's realistic. I don't even like
Ohio State, and I've got you taking 2.
I feel like a lot of people have gone off Emeka Ibuka because, look, Matthew Golden's like quite fast. Fuck off. Shite.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't really emphasize enough how bad that Texans O-line is. It literally made one of the better quarterbacks last season look like absolute horse shit for the entire season. So yeah, definitely needs to be O-line. Kian, who have you got?
I've gone the same as James. Kelvin Banks. I think the CDS Stroud needs protecting. As you've said, the sophomore slump, a lot of it came from how fucking battered he was getting every single game. Protect the man, and he will perform. Simple as that.
Okay, 26, the LA Rams, and Max, I think it might be the steal of the draft on my board if he falls this far. Colston Loveland finally comes off the board for me at 26. They need a tight end. I think Higbee's not really reliable enough anymore, or even if you use him as two different sort of options, but he's injury prone as anything. You know, he's barely on the field. And I think Loveland is an unbelievable prospect. I'd said I'd be potentially surprised, maybe not, if he falls this far. He said he could go higher. Depends what I think what the Saints do, what the Colts do. It's all going to depend on that. But for me, with how I see it going, I've got them taking him at 26. Will drastically improve the offense. And for me, I really do have the Rams as a sleeper team this year, potentially going even as far as a Super Bowl. I genuinely do believe it because they've got such a good balanced team. They've got a defense which proved to be elite in the back end of the season. An offense, when fit, was proven to be unreal. They just added Devontae Adams to that offense now. Him and Puka with Colston Loveland could be a serious, serious threat. So for me, I've got Colston Loveland going at 26 to the Rams.
Can you consider the Rams a sleeper based on they actually did well last season?
I think really well. As far as I think they could go to the Super Bowl. I think it might be a bit of a.
I don't think it's that much of an outside shout.
You kicked me off. You kicked me off. Fucking outrageous takes for saying the Rams might go to the Super Bowl.
It wasn't outrageous enough.
That's on. Yeah, that's probably why we did it. That's probably why we did it.
You laughed at me for calling me stupid, saying there's no way that happens with your exact words.
Well, what is stupid? He's coming on outrageous takes and making a very fucking peri mild take.
You told me it was outrageous and it was stupid.
Guys, we're past an hour. Let's roll on with the last 8 picks here.
Yeah,
6 actually. I've got another tackle back to back, and I think this is sort of a steal. I think he's a bit of a sleeper player because I think he could be incredible. Gray's able, and I promise you this is the only North Dakota State player going in the first round. I think he's a really good prospect on the offensive line, and I think that the Rams could probably do with upgrading it. The defense is quite strong. I think they can stay away from that for a while. Loveland, I can see the pick. It makes sense. I just don't see him falling that far. I think he could go anywhere between 13 and 22. Anywhere below that's weird to me because he's an incredible player. So I've got Gray's able because the O-line needs some help. Simple as. He's a good tackle.
I dropped this guy because I didn't want to try and say his name. Jahdae Barron.
Jahdae Barron?
Yeah. The cornerback from Texas.
I thought it was going to be some outrageous name.
I thought it was going to be Azariah Thomas.
No, there's another one here that I'm worried about.
There's a who I picked earlier. That's what I thought it was going to be.
Oh, fuck. There's another one on here that I'm worried about saying next.
Oh, God. Should we get...
I think that might be Ezraku, you know.
No, it's not.
Is it not?
Well, we'll move on anyway. We've got 27. We have the Baltimore Ravens. And to me, this could potentially be the steal of the draft because I think he's a very good player. I just think there's better. I've got Michael Williams out of Georgia.
So do I, James.
27, and it's silly, really. He's going to fall away to the Ravens because he's an unbelievable prospect, but I just think he's not as good as like James Pierce Jr. or Mike Green, etc. So, but again, he could absolutely fly up. I don't know. He said there's just so many good edge rushers, I said earlier, and I'm not even done with them yet as far as them being picked. There's more to come, but for me, I've got him at 27. It's a pretty straightforward pick for the Ravens to improve that defense. You know, the secondary is great for the Ravens, but now they can really improve that front line as well. And yeah, for me, potentially steal the draft. I'm actually going to say a similar sort of thing, but
I also have Michael Williams. If you couldn't tell by my ecstatic reaction, then I have had James Pierce Jr. in this spot. I'm convinced that no matter who they take in what position, there's another. Oh, I've just remembered who Kian's pick is that I've got for the Ravens. It's the safety. What's his name?
Yeah, that's all.
The other safety. I forgot his name, but he's really good, and I've snubbed him from this draft because I forgot about him. But yeah, I'm convinced that the Ravens are going to do what they do every year. They're going to have a bad pick in the late 20s and still manage to get an absolute gem fall to them and then just be even better than they were last year. But they still won't win a Super Bowl because Lamar Jackson's a serial ball job. Michael Williams is a steal in 27. Simple as. You can't not take him.
Nick Emanwari.
Emanwari. That's the one. Yep. He's a good player.
These names really aren't that difficult.
It's not that hard. No, I forgot his name.
They're off a ready salted fucking ham sandwich meal deal, bloke. I'm not being funny.
It's not Smith.
Yeah, exactly. He's not Smith or James.
Get ready to learn Mike Green, buddy.
You what?
Get ready to learn Mike Green, buddy.
I could say that one.
Fuck's sake. My thought process with him and Worry, as it was my pick, is that they can move Kyle Hamilton into nickel corner, which I think is where he's better, and they can have a strong safety behind him in Worry, who he's definitely not far off Malachi Starks, who I still haven't had off my board yet, by the way, which is probably why I forgot about him and Worry.
I realised that. What on earth? How is he going that far?
I also forgot about Starks. He's in here, but he fell.
Next up, the Detroit Lions, and it's getting a bit silly with these lot. They're going to get an unbelievable player regardless. I've got Nick Scarron out of Texas A&M as an edge rusher. I think just need a little bit of depth there. He proved to struggle, and now they've lost. Who was the one who played for you, Max?
This is Darius Smith.
There we go. Forgot his name, but yeah, apparently they might be working a deal to get him back, but they have literally no cap room, so I think they'd rather take someone on a rookie contract. I think Scarron's the pick here. Another Texas A&M edge going in the first round. You don't see that very often, but unbelievable prospect. And the fact he's going to go to the Lions to partner Aiden Hutchinson is a bit of a joke, really. But so it's sort of a can't miss situation with a lot of this first round. There's so many good prospects that just, unfortunately, for most teams in the first 6 picks, none of them are quarterbacks. But Max, I'll let you go next.
I have got, let's see, I think I've gone with edge almost every other time here. And I think there's definitely some options, although I'm not majorly high on Nick Scouten. I've got Matthew Golden falling here because, as you might have noticed, my receivers have fell outside of Terry McMillan. And I feel like outside of, you've got Amon-Ra, good Jameson Williams, then what? Tim Patrick? Nah, not for me. I think if you had a third one to that, plus you've also got Laporta, just another ridiculous weapon on that offense, it would kill any team they come up against, I think, which is what they already do. So just make it worse. Why not?
In fairness, they may have to trade Jameson Williams because they are in cap hell with the contracts they've got a hunch out. So I don't want to be surprised. Yeah, fair enough. Kian?
He's been mentioned a lot. If anyone's annoyed at how far he's dropped, blame Max. This was his. James Pierce Jr. is going to the Detroit Lions on this draft.
I'm annoyed he's fallen that far.
You was annoyed when I sent this draft into the group chat the other week.
Ridiculous.
He's rise back up now. He's at 17 on this one. Come on, man. He's got to mess around with things. See how the board falls.
Next up at 29, because how they've ended. Can we just put into perspective the Washington Commanders at the 29th pick in the draft?
What?
There's news.
What is it?
The Vikings have reached an agreement with wide receiver Rondale Moore as we're recording.
Oh, so it's not news then. Right, moving on.
Rondale Moore's not a bad little player. He's a good
moving on. Yeah, can we just put in perspective how mental it is the Commanders actually are picking 29th in the draft as they were the 4th best team in the NFL this season. But yeah, Max, I'll let you start.
I was looking at this Commanders depth chart, and there are some. I think they could definitely take an edge, which I imagine is what James is taking because he loves edging.
Thank you.
I can't believe I just said that. I feel like this is potentially actually the biggest steal of the draft based on how my board has fallen. I don't think this is actually going to happen, but if he's there, I looked at the Commanders' safeties.
Not a chance.
Nothing there. Malachi Starks. He probably won't, but for some reason I forgot about him while doing this mock draft because who cares about safeties? So yeah, Malachi Starks falls to the Commanders on this board. He won't in real life. He's going to fall a bit based on where people had him close to the start of the season because his 2024 tape is nothing near his 2023 tape. Our 2023 tape is still incredible. So yeah, he's not going to fall that far. But on my draft, he has because I could not take him.
My head will be on Mars if he falls to the Commanders at 29. I'm still annoyed because on my pick they've got a very, very good player, and I can't believe that he's going to fall this way, but he probably will. Amarian Hampton out of North Carolina is my pick here. Their big, glaring, obvious issue is their running backs are useless. Brian Robinson isn't good enough, and Austin Eckler is a backup at the absolute best in this league. So I've got Hampton to be their new number 1 running back to make the offense even more scary, because how on earth do you defend him and Jaden Daniels on a read option? God knows. But you can't, and it's just going to cement our pity of being worse in our division by a country mile yet again. But yeah, unfortunately, the Commanders get a good player who I actually like. So, I mean, I'm not going to like him anymore post when he gets drafted by the Commanders, if it all happens. But give me Omarion Hampton at 29 to Washington. Kian?
I've got someone who Matt's already mentioned with a great name from North Dakota State, Gray Zabel.
Gray Zabel. Could definitely get another tackle or a guard in there, but yeah.
Moving on to the final 3 picks of the draft, and yeah, I'm going to make you go last just because of the flag. The cereal bottle job Buffalo Bills at 30. And Max, you were confused about who my other corner was, but he's going here to Buffalo.
This is Trey Amos. It is Trey Amos. Okay, I have a corner here too.
As I said, I do like Ravel as well as a prospect, and forgot his name, out of Kentucky, but I think Amos for me just slightly edges it into the first round. As you hope to know, that is the end of my edge rusher spree on Nick scouting to the Lions. That was my last one. But
we're never going to
Trey Amos for me.
The Bills flag down, man. We get it.
No, it's staying out for the entirety of the pick.
Let's just get us over and done with them.
Keep talking. No, keep talking. Make him hold it for longer.
I'll
tell you what. I've got a lot to say about my next pick.
Yeah, go on. You go then.
I really don't. I've got Azariah Thomas from Florida State, cornerback. I don't have Trey Amos as high, personally. Nothing against the guy. Nothing against Ole Miss. But I just the fucking Bills like that. Yeah, like James has said, they need to upgrade the cornerback room. They've not got much outside of Benford. I think Azariah Thomas can definitely do a job. He's a good player, good cornerback. And that ends my cornerback spree of however many I had, 5, I think. 6 if you include Hunter.
Also ends my spree of 3. Kian, just make your pick, mate, so you can put a stupid flag
2026 Super Bowl champions. I'll take in Kenneth Grant.
He made it into that one. I'm not that high. I mean, it put him next to Ed Oliver, and it kind of works. They could also take edge rusher, but you know, that could be an Ezraku spot for me because he's not as high on mine. But
next up, the bottle jobs who couldn't save us from the cereal pain of the Philadelphia.
Have we done a video since this, by the way?
No,
I don't think we have actually.
We didn't recap it.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Eagles fly on the road to victory. Fly, Eagles, fly. Score a touchdown, 1, 2, 3. Hit them low, hit them high.
We did all the words.
E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles.
Yeah, for the sake of just not wanting this, I'm going to try and end this draft now as quickly as possible so we don't have to talk about this absolute shit show. But unfortunately, the meteor strike didn't happen on the stadium, and we had to watch the insufferable pricks the Eagles win the Super Bowl. But the Chiefs had bottle jobs in the final. I've got them taking Josh Connolly Jr. out of Oregon as a tackle option. I think trading Joe Tooney, they need a new they just need help on that offensive line sort of situation. I think it's a bit more worse for wear than it was before. Still very good, but I think needs help, especially in the tackle sort of thing. And I've got Josh Connolly as my pick at 31 out of Oregon. I think it's the first player from Oregon I've actually got on my board, which is quite surprising how big of a college it is. But yeah, Josh Connolly for me at 31. Max?
I agree that even before they lost Joe Tooney, if you watched the Super Bowl, you saw how badly they got rushed. I don't even think the Eagles were blitzing them. They were just getting pressure on them. So I've also gone offensive line. I've also gone for a tackle out of Oregon, Josh Connolly Jr. Let's go, James. We know ball. Kian also might have him because I feel like
I don't, but I'm just going to say him.
Who was it?
Who was it?
Jackson, you put.
Who? Oh, the other Ohio State tackle. Yeah,
oh,
I like him too. But
join the Connolly Jr. train, mate.
Yeah. So I think they just need to protect Mahomes, or they're not going to do anything again.
I hope that Josh Connolly Jr. has got some good role models around him because the last 2 first-round picks for the Chiefs are now convicted felons. So let's hope this guy suffers a better fate than the other two in that scumbag team.
The Chiefs fans are weird, man. They say that they can't develop the tackle. They haven't taken one since 2012 or something. What do they mean? Just
Max,
take
you ruined
one.
the perfect intro then. Scumbag team to fit right into the Philadelphia Eagles at 32.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
The most insufferable, useless team who just scammed their way to Super Bowl, not having it.
Damn, they fucking blew them out in the big game.
Well done, mate. It was the Chiefs. Useless.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
The Chiefs with no
Chiefs.
O-line, no weapons.
Fuck
Well
me.
done, lads. What a trophy. Fair play.
They have actually got a trophy. That doesn't
Yeah.
work.
Took them long enough. Sorry,
They literally
I refuse to believe that Nick Sirianni is a Super Bowl winning coach who just doesn't deserve
He
it.
is. He literally
He
I know,
is.
but
You
I'm
watched
not.
it.
I'm
You
not
were sat
accepting it.
You were sat in that room over there watching it with us.
I'm not
I
accepting it.
refuse to believe that Kaká's won a Ballon d'Or. He did.
I'm not accepting it. Sorry, it didn't happen.
He
Erase
fucking
that.
did.
Erase it from history, mate. I've got them taking.
Fuck me.
I said I didn't take an Oregon player to 31, and then two come at once. I've got Derek Harmon, the defensive line out of Oregon. For me, as I said, I think they need help a little bit. As that defense is great, but I think the secondary sort of shines in that defense over the sort of defensive line. I think getting to the defensive line helps to make that defense even better because they're going to need it because they have to suffer with Jalen Hurts, a quarterback. So they'll need the defense to carry them like it did through this season. And I think he will add to a very good defense as is. So, yeah, I've got Derek Harmon going as my last pick in the draft. Well, the first round anyway. Max?
I quite like that pick. I've gone different myself. There are a lot of good nose tackles in this draft. Like some of them are going to fall because there's so many good ones. There's Darius Alexander out of Toledo as well, who's not been mentioned yet. A few other guys. I've gone with the way my board's fallen with what I think is another steal. You've got AJ Brown, you've got Devontae Smith, Luther Burden to complete the trifecta there in Philadelphia. I don't think you can go wrong. If he's on the board, take him. Ibuka is also still on the board. A and B between those two. I love Ibuka personally, but I'm trying not to be biased. And I think Burden's slightly better in my mind. So I also think there's a chance that we take Ibuka with the next pick in the second round. But we'll see. We'll see. Luther Burden from Mizzou to the Eagles.
Kian, to round
And
it off with
now
loads of insight.
Let's watch Kian try say this name because I know who it is.
Firstly, I am not removing the Super Bowl from my mind. We can remove a few of the clientele who are watching it with us from history, but we're not going to remove the actual game. Yeah, that was a dig. Fuck Wigan. I'm going to take Azariah Thomas, whoever the fuck that
Oh, he
is.
said it. He said it.
Quarterback from Florida State.
Well done, proud of you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why I was expecting any insight off that one.
My insight from me picking that is the fact that they lost Darius Slay, so they could probably take another corner.
Yeah. Well, that is the end of our first, might be our only, don't know, but our first round mock draft.
If we do another one,
season.
let Kian research it, please.
Yeah, next time
please do.
we might have to do 2.0 just so we can let Kian do a bit of research on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is the end of our first mock draft. I think. Right, we can edit this out if I'm wrong or you don't want to do this. But we might do a little sort of mock draft situation where we get one of you lot from every team, if possible, to come on and just name your first round pick.
I've got a slight issue with this. We're going to have to try and find a fan of the Atlanta Falcons.
Well, if you are an Atlanta Falcons fan and you are watching the
A
podcast,
fan of
message
the
us on
Arizona
Twitter.
Cardinals.
Kian,
Well,
we
if
get
you're
it.
a Cardinals fan, if you're a fan of any of the teams that aren't the Giants,
We've
Raiders,
got
or the Browns,
we've got a Discord, and there's people in there. If they want to join in, they can pick for their teams, and I'll do the rest because I'm a draft expert. Thank you for watching mock draft FDF mock draft 1.0, maybe 2.0 coming soon, maybe a free agent video coming soon.
Yeah, I can actually do that.
What else can we do? There's got to be something else interesting we can upload for the loyal fans.
Depends how
We'll
fucking loyal they are.
brainstorm. We'll brainstorm over a game of Madden as soon as we finish this.
We will not be talking about
multiple games of Madden.
Many
But
games of
there we
Madden.
are. Thank you very much for watching our first ever mock draft, and we will see you all next time.